Welcome. Let me get this stuff going real quick. Let me figure out how to get this I don't think I can do it, man. I want to make this so it sees my... Oh, there we go. Wait. Darn. Maybe... Darn, man. I have no idea how to make that, what's it called? I don't want the background to be looking like that, if that makes what I'm... Bro, I don't know if y'all have ever used Apple's search feature. It just never works. Never works. Alright, well then that's just unfortunate. But I wanted y'all to basically just see Crazy Eyes back in Nathan's right here. You know me? She's like a literal... She's like a loaf. Like a loaf of bread. Alright, let me stop cheesing. Let me get into today. First got our daily Bible reading. I haven't done a video in like, what, 3 days? Maybe on last Thursday I didn't do it. And then I also didn't do, what's it called? It on Friday. And I think I did it on Wednesday. I just can't remember exactly. But, yeah. So, let's get into it. Monday, the 6th week of Ordinary Time. It is Monday, February 16th. That's our first reading. That's our responsive psalm and our gospel. Here we go. Finally, a short gospel. And I was waiting for, honestly, a shorter one. The Pharisees came forward and began to argue with Jesus, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. He sighed from the depth of his spirit and said, "Why does this generation seek a sign? Amen, I say to you, no sign will be given to this generation." He then left them, got into the boat again, and went off to the other shore. I'm going to kind of narrow that down to basically Jesus kind of reaffirming the fact of faith and why it's so important. You know, seeing is believing is a big thing in our society. You know, I need to see some sort of thing to believe in a God. I need to undergo some type of change externally that I have no control over, in order to believe there's a God, essentially. And this also came like to the Pharisees to show a lack of faith. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard though, because if you have a guy, say you're a Pharisee, a religious leader, you're in a temple, and then some guy's like, what's it called? I'm God, this and that. You would want to have some kind of not like rules, but some sort of criteria to examine this person, to be able to see if they are actually true and not just full of it, in this case Jesus himself. I want to put this in the GPT, but it's like, I think it's mainly just talking about why do we need to test that faith, and in order maybe if I think there is no if. He did things like, I'm trying to tie it back to present day, because back in the day it's the same kind of thing. Jesus performed different types of miracles, different types of actions, different types of just things that enabled him to gain a reputation of, wow, this man can heal. This man like he healed people, he multiplied food, and he cast out demons in people, and they still want to know if he's the truth, essentially. Why does this generation seek a sign, he asks. I just want to get to the end of this. What's it called? I think it just kind of shows the fact that faith is really important, and you can only see it if you really want to. You can have everything in front of you. You can have a great life. You can have blessings of various kinds, this and that, wealthy in all types of ways. But God is the one that's providing those to you, and regardless if you know that or not, I think throughout this walk of life, the journey is enabled to discover God. That's why suffering is on this earth. That's why, we each have the human condition. Is because God wants us to recognize Him and understand that whatever is on this earth is temporary. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This life we know comes to an end, but your soul never goes to an end. And yeah, so it's like faith is not built on endless signs, but openness to truth. When the desire for proof masks pride or resistance, even miracles cannot persuade. Which is kind of exactly what we're saying. Jesus walking away reminds us that belief requires humility, not just evidence. So true faith begins not with demanding a sign, but with a willing heart. Oh my gosh. So I guess that kind of does tie into what I was saying earlier, is that you have to be willing to be able to seek the truth. You can have all these things, but until it's on your plate, say there's like a big old buffet, and all these signs, all these different things, miracle here, healing a person here, this and that. The creator, the intelligence and design of the universe, all on this buffet, and then your plate is empty and it's full of pride, arrogance, and simply not an open heart. And that's what Jesus is basically sighing from the depth of the spirit. Why does this generation need a sign? So yeah, really nice gospel to honestly kind of explain what faith is. I feel like it's easy, it's almost harder to believe. Like say, even with people in the back of the day, Jesus performing these miracles, doing this and that, and people still doubt Him. You know what I'm saying? So imagine how hard it is now to believe in a God, and in order to gain that openness someone would need. So that's why I could see why it's so difficult for people to actually try to understand God, find God, and understand that He has a plan for each and every one of us. That's just a big factor. But yeah, remember, seek the truth. Don't let your flesh get in the way, your own ego, and you will be satisfied. You feel me? Let's get into trade. Today was a bank holiday, and it couldn't have gone any better. I just want to say, today was perfectly spot on, exactly to what I was anticipating, exactly to what I was expecting, exactly to what everything I could have possibly imagined. And this is kind of a big theme that I wanted to carry over into this week's trading, is to basically less is more. I'm not trying to be on these charts for the entire day, bro. I'm done with that. I'm done with Asian session. I'm just trading New York Open, 2 trades a day, $500 max risk on the day. And no trade on the funded today. This was on the top step today. And it just allows me to find more clarity. Back when I had my payout in September, October, around that point, I remember it was the most flow state, the way I could describe it, of trading. Popping at the charts at 9:30, maybe in the morning session, maybe in the pre-market, but at that point I'm narrowing down just to New York Open. There's no reason for me to be up that early unless I expect something. But yeah, narrow down that trade, and then simply just think with logic. And when you don't know, you don't know. When you don't know, you don't know, and that's, I think, a big factor of what it's kind of hard. Imagine there's 365 days in a year. There's maybe about 270 trading days. I don't know how many weekends that would really account to, bank holidays, whatever. So you're narrowing that down to, let's say, about 200 days out of the year. And you want to go in there with knowing this subconsciously. A day is going to go on, and every day you're going to have a new opportunity to trade. The issue is that it's every day. It's not every 30 minutes. Maybe there is. For experienced people, there is. But I'm talking more about a daily type of intraday trader. I'm not talking about a swing trader. I'm not talking about a scalper. I'm talking about a structured person that's disciplined with rules. You know, you have your max day loss on the day, you have the max amount of trades on the day, you have the max amount of leverage on your day, whatever, doesn't matter. But if you don't define those from the beginning, like clearly, then your training's gonna be a lot harder. You're gonna be, you know, kind of waving at thin air almost. So yeah, keeping it simple, stupid is going to be the method, and that is what I'm gonna adopt for the rest of this month and for the time being. You feel me? Because that's what led me to what I was doing, and I have a fun account right now. I have a good top step running. Like I'm about to start capitalizing on this stuff. I just needed to realize, narrow down my trading. There's no reason to be overachieving essentially, and don't trade when you don't know. And this is what I'm gonna get into today, talking about not knowing. So we market opened. Dang, yes, went like miles back. We market opened right. I'll go on the 30-minute actually. On the daily time frame, we're in this. This is a daily candle. We're stuck in this daily candle. I was expecting that, bank holiday. I'm not expecting no crazy range. I'm expecting a simple, quick move to happen. Nothing crazy. That's what the day is a lot shorter. Ended at what, 12:30 or at 1 o'clock. So the day is immediately defined in a much smaller time frame. So what does that say? I'm gonna be able to maybe find a trade, during the macros, and price is gonna want to get moving during our New York session. So that eliminates one factor, which is session and time. So we have the time kind of in the right place. So we come into 9:30 open right here. Okay, actually I gotta get lower time frame on this. On the day, I am bearish. I was bearish to the sell side. I was bearish to the sell side, and I wanted to see, what would happen after that. So we swept out. So we open up right here. Bam. This low gets taken out by this candle. We market structure shift to this high. Once this green candle takes out this high, that is a market structure shift completed. Market maker buy model completed. I could expect us to start to rally lower. Let me do something real quick. This real quick, and at this point I'm like, yo, I'm bearish off rip. I want to see us start to head lower. There's no need for us to be kind of lollygaggling around this little area. There's no need. Where was I going to target? I forgot what I was going to target. Some standard deviation garbage. But let me get to Alright, hello. Alright, I don't know what's going on. Cause it's deaf, dumb, and blind. I wish I could play music right now, but I just can't. Alright, bam. Okay, so it's a top step. It just makes it easier if I can do this. Alright, so bam, get rid of ES real quick. Okay, so remember that market maker buy model and sell model is complete. So I'm looking for, buy model is complete. So as soon as we shift below this low, I want to be in there. I want to be in there. So I had a limit at this low, at the high, bam. And then I was simply I just wanted to target this 1-to-1 and then let it ride. You feel me? But this is where it gets kind of not necessarily premature, but where I start kind of critically thinking to the point where I realize kind of what are we going to do over the New York session? It's easy to say what we're going to do in the next 10 minutes. I think price is going to go down. But what are we going to do in the larger time frame that's going to impact my 1-minute trading? So valid short here came up, broke lower. Once you broke low and put in a relative equal, I went break even, and I got stopped break even right here, as you can tell. The reason I went break even so early was because of the fact that I was not really interested in, kind of joining the move as of now. You look at where we were at, we were straight rallying. And then I realized that despite us, putting a new market structure shift to the downside, which the trade would have worked out if I just left it perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? It was a perfectly good trade. I realized that it was not going to be sufficient for a longer term trade, if that makes sense, because of the fact that we need some sort of buy side manipulation. So this is where we get into the juicy spicy stuff. Onto ES. Oh, I can't bring this chart over. But all right, this is where I go to ES. So ES. Now New York opens in 8:30, or rather lower. Straight to that 1 minute. Let's see. Bro, I hate when it does this. Because I've been so wrong. Alright, bet. So, you look right here. 9:30. We don't get this market maker bond model. We don't get any of it. Don't get any of it. What does that also say? I want to continue the trend. So what do? We start rallying back into our new week opening gap, which is which basically was that kind of sell side target. You know, it both made sense to go back into the new week opening gap. Then boom, we get above this high. Market structure shift. We have a low, high, lower low, low, high, lower low, higher high. We can expect price to want to take out some buy side. Where is this buy side going to be? Where is it going to be? In a discount level. You ready for this? ES is more bearish. Why am I looking at ES if I'm expecting a premium retracement? I'm not. I'm going to NASDAQ. NASDAQ, we have a low. I'm going to go to here. We have a low, a high, higher low, higher high. That's our market structure shift. Right here's our low. So here's our high and low of this entire range. Of this range of price action, this is our high and low. Bam. 50% is right around new week opening gap. What do? We seek a discount. We want a discount. So we seek it. We rally back up fast. When we rally back up fast, I know that that is a simple liquidity sweep. Look at ES. What type of, where is the buy model? Where is the buy fair value gap entry? Breakaway gap right here. Inverse fair value gap never came into. Fair value gap right here never came into. Fair value gap here came into, I guess, but that swept out liquidity. I just simply swept out liquidity. Are you ready for this also? So the fair value gap that only got respected on ES happens to be on top of what's it called? First presented Monday. So I'm not going to mark it out. You could also use this one right here, the last fair value gap before we move higher. Anyways, 30-minute. What did I use? What kind of concept did I come up with? During the summer of last year, double fair value gap method. So was it on 30-minute? Or was it on Nasdaq 30-minute? Had to be. I know there was. I know there was a double 30-minute. Yeah, Nasdaq. Okay, Nasdaq had a double 30-minute fair value gap. So that means I'm expecting this lower fair value gap to be respected, to then move lower, take out our sell side. That's just how it is, okay? I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty of that. Okay, so bam, 30-minute closes. The doji. What do? We sweep out its high. We sweep out the high of the 30-minute down move. Bam, 30-minute down move. Now we have officially trapped everyone. We officially trapped everyone. There's nothing. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. I really lost the freaking image. There's nowhere to go. As soon, like this is a high, so we have a high, low, higher high, low, higher high. As soon as we market structure shift below this low, I'm in the trade. I'm in the trade as soon as we market structure shift below that low. Why? Why am I not scared of it being early? Why am I not scared of exaggerating this entire price move of 1 to 5? A 1 to 5 RR, by the way. 1 to 5 RR, $200 risk, maybe $700. So almost $800 worth of risk. So, you know, I guess with partials, it definitely takes off your RR. That's besides the point. So take the entry as soon as we get this market structure shift right underneath this low. Bam. What do? Immediate rebalance up to this order block. rally lower. What is our next PD rate? This inverse fair value gap. What do we do? Close below, retrace into. What do we retrace also into? First presented fair value gap on Monday. Are you ready for this now? It's about to be crazy now. Order block, order block, order block, order block. One big order block before we move lower. What is the candle that returns into the order block? Maybe you're thinking about it. Starts with P. Called a propulsion block. A simple propulsion block. This candle is retracing into this order block. What am I expecting off a propulsion block? Propulsion, my boy. Propulsion. What do? Immediately get below this low. Or no, sorry, let me get on 2 minute. We immediately get below it, we close, bam, tap right in, rally, bam. I know the trade's locked. At that point, I know it's locked. Retracement this for rally gap, rally lower, take a partial here, take a partial here, take a partial here, and yeah. That's it, man. That's it. It's bread and butter. There's nothing about it. Execution's right there. It couldn't get much easier than that. So you can kind of see the logic of knowing you're early, but knowing the correct bias. You know, say I shorted here, we rallied up and then went lower. That's why I have 2 trades of $250, max risk of $500. You understand what I'm saying? Because then imagine this, bro. Imagine, all right, this trade, whatever, I didn't take it. Then we rally up, take a short. Okay, let's just say we get wicked out or something like that, and then we get a model again. Bam, I'm still able to enter. Feel me? That's just how it is, man. That's how it is. Great price action today on this bank holiday. Usually bank holidays are absolutely bankers. I love it. You know, it just gives you the opportunity to see price action in a lens that price isn't as volatile. It's almost like a really nice Asian session, if that makes sense. Asian session has candles that look exactly like this, and it's bread and butter. You know, we come into this first presented for value gap. We come into this first presented for value gap, right there. Bam, bam. Oh no, sorry. Bam. Rejection lower. One rejection. Candle body respecting consequent encroachment, bro. It just doesn't get better than that, man. What are we doing here? 1, 2, 3 up close candles. Right here. Candle up into these candles. Bam. Straight lower, boy. That's how today worked, though. Really good day. I'm glad to see, you know, back in business on these bank holidays. It's gonna be all about consistency, risk management, and when you don't know, you don't know. That's what I'm gonna take forward. You feel me? And slow and steady gonna win the race. I have some serious plans coming up. For this month, I'm aiming for some pretty big stuff here. I want some stuff to start getting moving, stuff to start happening. I'm finding consistency again. Price is starting to look a lot better. The market's not hard. I just have to completely eliminate days where I essentially attack my own head. You feel me? Where everything happens in my own head. And if I can simply eliminate days like that, it's over. It's over for everyone in their motto. Praise the Lord Jesus, man. See this kitty right here? This is how chill I be when I be trading. Today, I was sleeping. Maybe a little stressed out on this candle right here. A little stressed out. But I'm sleeping, bro. I'm sleeping. And that's how trading should be. Simple, easy, light, to the point. Because you have faith in the setup and you have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, man. Alright? Y'all stay safe. Peace out. And I will see y'all eventually.